everyone, my name is Eric Hopkins, aka Jill. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So apparently, it sounds like we're getting closer and closer to at least negotiations happening for the upcoming Sony buyout of Paramount Pictures. So let's get into this article here from Reuters. It states here that Paramount is in talks to open its books to Sony and Apollo. Apparently, they're joining forces here to potentially buy the company. Paramount Global is in talks about opening its books to a consortium of Sony Pictures and a buyout firm, Apollo Global Management, interested in acquiring the U.S. media company. People familiar with the matter said on Wednesday. Advisors to both sides are discussing the terms of a confidentiality pact that allows the exchange of commercially sensitive information, the sources said. Doing so would pave the way for Apollo and Sony to firm up their $26 billion offer and challenge a rival bid from David Ellison's Skydance Media. Apparently, they're the two in contention to actually buy Paramount here. A special committee of Paramount's board that is evaluating the company's options allowed an exclusivity period to lapse in its deal discussions with Skydance last week. The sources requested anonymity because the matter is confidential and cautioned there was no guarantee the talks would lead to a deal. A spokesman for Paramount Special Committee declined to comment. Sony Pictures chairman Tony Vinciqueri, I think that's how you say that name, first approached Paramount's controlling shareholder Shari Redstone years ago to explore acquiring the Paramount Pictures film studio, according to two sources familiar with the talks. At the time, Redstone was not interested in breaking up the company. It sounds as if when Sony and Apollo do succeed and purchase Paramount Pictures, according to the New York Times, it would actually break up the company into pieces. Their plans would be to sell off CBS and along with the TV stations. Apollo owns a stake in Cox and would go over the 39% U.S. household limit, the cable networks and Paramount Plus, and then they would proceed to merge Paramount Pictures along with the movie and TV library into Sony Pictures. So sounds like Paramount Plus would no longer exist after that point because Sony would then own it. But it sounds to me like if I'm Sony, I would start my own streaming service at that point because you're going to have all this IP, and which is the biggest reason I wanted to talk about this here. Sony Pictures currently already has without the merger with Paramount, they already have the rights to Karate Kid, Spider-Man, and all the rights reserved with that, unless Marvel Studios makes a deal to get that back, which I'm kind of hoping happens because Sony has not done a great job with the Sony Spider-Man movies, in my opinion. Sony also has the rights to Jumanji, the Bad Boys franchise, Hotel Transylvania, Smurfs, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, Ghostbusters, Men in Black, Goosebumps, 21 Jump Street, Resident Evil, the Underworld franchise, Rambo, Universal Soldier, and of course, James Bond. So Sony's already got a really big movie IP list right there. But if you add Paramount Pictures on top of it, they will be adding to their list of IP the list of Terminator, that franchise, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Star Trek, Transformers, G.I. Joe, Friday the 13th, Mission Impossible, Top Gun, the Quiet Place movies, Beverly Hills Cop, Jack Ryan, and The Godfather. They would all be merging with Sony here. And so that would definitely add a whole new element to this Hollywood here. It would definitely put Sony in the conversation of being right up there with major movie corporations like Universal and Disney at that point. So they would have so much IP that they would be able to make all sorts of new movies under their umbrella, as well as distribute those movies. And even with Sony owning the PlayStation brand, obviously, that would also open up new opportunities for Sony to create new video games as well. So it makes all the sense in the world for Sony to want to get their hands on this, no doubt about it. My one concern with Sony is, of course, that, well, you know, obviously, they've made good movies. I think the Bad Boys franchise is good. Obviously, the Men in Black series was really good at one point. Ghostbusters, I thought, had a really good last couple films as well. But there's some James Bond's usually pretty good, and Spider-Man, as long as he's with the MCU, has always been great. Jumanji's been fun too. But there's been a few times, especially, I guess I'm just sour on the fact that Sony and their Venom verse, Venom has been pretty decent, but then you got Madam Web and you've got Morbius and movies like that that were just dumpster fires. However, the Sony animated films with the Spider-Verse stuff with Miles Morales has been outstanding. So I guess a part of me is just nervous if Sony gets all their grubby little fingers on like some of these franchises like Terminator, who's pretty much been raided to the ground already, and especially a series like Star Trek. If they are going to be getting rid of Paramount Plus, that's going to do heavy damage to the Star Trek brand, especially when it comes to television. They won't be putting out as much TV products as they are right now. Those would all come to an end. And it sounds like Sony would probably still explore the movie ideas, but I don't know how much they'd be putting forth when it comes to the actual TV series. And that's where Star Trek makes a lot of its bread and butter. So that would really concern me a little bit. Not only that, I thought Top Gun has been great with the Top Gun Maverick releasing last year or so. So I think that movie I'm looking forward to the third installment of it. I would really hate to see Sony screw that up, but at the same time, you can't really screw up Transformers and GI Joe much more than they already have. So and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has also kind of had its ups and downs over the years. But there's things that Sony could do to possibly improve some of this as well. So I understand why Sony is going to do this. It makes a lot of sense, especially if they want to continue in their movie company here to kind of compete with Disney and things like that. Even they're kind of working with them when it comes to the Spider-Man rights. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like the catalog would be outstanding for Sony if they did this, which is one of the reasons that Disney purchased Fox back in the day. They kind of set the precedent for this. So yeah, I'm sure they're going to have to go through government regulations and monopoly things and see if there's going to be like any sort of conflicts there. When it comes to not having a monopoly in the United States government. But yeah, so I guess to me, I'm just like, if you got all this stuff, why would you want to get rid of Paramount Plus? Just make it into the new Sony streaming service and put all your products on there. That would make a lot of sense in my opinion. But we'll have to wait and see what they do. I don't know. That's probably going to be in the plans, I would assume. Otherwise, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense, especially if you're selling off the TV companies and networks and things like that. So we'll have to see what they do. But yeah, I guess we'll wait and see. But what do you guys think about the fact that Sony could possibly be purchasing Paramount Pictures here? Comment below. Let me know what you guys think about this potential buyout. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And until my next video, guys, take care and God bless.